On the 27th of August, my internet connection went out, which was super annoying in several ways, but I'll tell you all about that in the other video that went up at the same time as this one. If you're not interested, you can safely ignore that other video, of course. As I was offline, I decided to play another old RPG from the PS1 era. I didn't really feel like going straight into Genshin Suikoden 2 and instead opted to play Legend of Legaia for one particular reason. I make that sound like some dramatic cliffhanger, as if the subject of this video wasn't in the title anyway. Like, subscribe and hit the bell notification if you want to see more content on this channel. It helps out so much and I really appreciate it. You encounter Juggernaut for the first time in Ratayu when Noah takes the place of a sacrificial bride, and then again at the end of the game. The reason why I was always curious about this as a child was that at the end, when Juggernaut is summoned, it actually has a Saryu icon next to its name, which throughout the whole game has always meant that you can acquire it. As it is a summon of the final boss rather than a Saryu you fight directly, there is no way for you to catch it, so to speak. Which leads us to what the game apparently requires you to do for the acquisition of Juggernaut. If you level up all the way to level 99, go back to Ratayu and be granted access to the, let's call it a laboratory. Again, there will be a chest where you originally fought Saryu, containing an Evil Talisman. That talisman, apart from lowering the rate of random encounters, also grants its wearer the ability to summon Juggernaut the same way you would with any other Saryu you captured. Here's the catch. If you've played Legend of Legaia before, you know two things. Battles take forever, and you get a minuscule amount of experience. I don't think I ever even made it past level 70 when I was playing this game as a kid, and I had nothing else scheduled apart from level grinding in JRPGs. So honestly speaking, I just believe that people are correct on the requirements. I will absolutely not attempt doing this the normal way. Even without a real internet connection, I am not that bored. A few years ago, I think, I'm not too caught up on the timelines and developments of tech glitches and sequence breaks from older games, but yeah, some years ago, someone found out that you could just brute force yourself into the lab. As I have no idea who to credit for finding this, I would just give the credit to the video that I saw first on that subject. Not the best solution I know, but it's not all that important either. To get into the lab, and you can do this at any point after the mist has disappeared, you will have to line yourself up pixel perfect like this, which is a rather simple step but can take quite a bit of time if you're unlucky. If you use the red and yellow patterns of the carpet as a guide, you will get there, just bring a little bit of patience along. If you force yourself into the lab before you beat Saryu, you can actually talk to the scientists. Both of which seem to have dialogue added in just for this very point in the game, even though you should not be able to get inside anyway. As Juggernaut is still actively consuming the sacrificial brides, you can't actually do much else in here for the time being, which means you'll have to continue the story and beat Saryu first. Once you've freed the king and Juggernaut has been deactivated again, you can now brute force yourself back into the lab the same way I just showed you. The lab will be completely empty this time around. No brides having their whatever it is being sucked out of them, no scientists, and no giant Juggernaut Saryu. Instead, you'll be greeted by the chest I mentioned, which contains the Evil Talisman. And that's it. I'm not sure what you'd call this, clipping, a glitch, sequence breaking, or whatever, but it works and it doesn't require any external assistance. That's awesome. At this point in the game, you should be around level 17 to 20, I think. I'm around level 20 and I didn't do too much grinding other than catching all the Saryus for all three party members up until this point. To summon Juggernaut, you need 255 MP, which none of my characters have. The only way to make this work this early in the game is to use an accessory that lowers MP costs and put it on Gala. The only one available this early on is the Spirit Jewel. This one comes with another caveat, as again, this early in the game you can only acquire it by trading coins, 800 coins to be precise. This was the most frustrating and time-consuming part of this venture. As I started playing Legaia with the sole intention of getting Juggernaut early, I did make getting a lot of coins an absolute priority. So as soon as I made it into Vidna for the first time, I played slots and nothing else until I had a boatload of coins. In Vidna, inside the hothouse, is a slot machine with a guy standing next to it. That guy will give you 10 coins to get you hooked. and then charge 100G for each additional coin. So realistically speaking, farming up the 80,000G right now instead of playing slots isn't really worth your time. Farming money in Legaia already takes forever, plus the time investment into slots early on will give you a near infinite supply of G later on, all the way up until the end of the game. I took the 10 coins from that guy and emptied out my wallet to get up to 65 coins. I then saved my game, went back to the slots machine and just mashed all the buttons. If I made a profit, I went out and saved. If I went bust, I reloaded my save file. I kept doing this until I had well over 10,000 coins. This took about 1 hour according to the in-game clock, but really over 24 hours in real time as I kept taking breaks due to the monotony of it, not to mention that reloading your save file resets the clock anyway. In any case, with the Spirit Jewel and the Evil Talisman, we finally have all the pieces in place that we need to summon Juggernaut. From one tedium to the next, to get Juggernaut from level 1 to 9 took me just a bit over 3 hours and I think 67 uses. I say I think because I might have miscounted between levels because, as you can imagine, I wasn't exactly putting too much brain power towards this last and exhilarating step. I actually did this in one go while listening to some podcast on YouTube via a public Wi-Fi connection which kept buffering while set to 240p. Fun! But this is it. Gala can now summon a level 9 Juggernaut and does a ton of damage with it. You might be wondering, why did it take 3+ hours to get Juggernaut to level 9? 65 to 70 uses is a lot, yes, but 3 hours seems too long. Well, as you might remember from the beginning, the Evil Talisman actually reduces the encounter rate, by quite a bit in fact, and on top of that, after every single use I would have to replenish my MP first to summon him again. That all adds up I feel like quickly is the wrong word here, but yeah, it adds up and takes a lot of time. Here's a reenacted cycle of what I had to go through and you will start to understand why it took this long. the rest of the bosses for the foreseeable future shouldn't be too tough to deal with now, even though the hardest one, Xane, is already taken care of before you even get the talisman. In any case, have you played Legend of Legaia? Have you tried getting the talisman early, or did you even do the unthinkable and actually leveled all the way to 99 to get the talisman legitimately? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitch and Twitter if you frequent those platforms. The links are in the description down below. Once again, thank you very much for watching this video all the way to the end. My name's Sasa, and I will see you in the next video.